We heard that Willie failed his HIA. Maybe you can just give us an update if you have anything.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not just the HIA, got whacked on his neck as well, so he's also going to go and check and see what his neck from a injury point of view. So which obviously not great, because I mean we've got Kane and Kurtley, Willie. If you get picked for the box now and you play in a World Cup, you just generally don't get to play for the Bulls every week. And he was outstanding. I thought he was outstanding. And to be fair, people underestimate his value just from the way that he talks on the field, dictates those kicks he did at the back there. But let's see. I mean, I didn't think with the back three we had that we'd be as good as we were today, and they surprised everybody. So opportunity comes next week for someone else. Hopefully we'll be able to put someone in his place if he's not available. But I'm always the sort of guy. You don't want to play games with HIA. I've got kids. You don't want to push guys into that situation. But hopefully, who knows? Maybe tomorrow it's the neck that's more sore, and when it heals, maybe HIA protocols, maybe you'll be fine. But I mean, I'm not banking on that.
And then just some maybe baffling missed calls by the referee tonight.
I don't think we got enough time. I mean,
No.
to be really honest, there was 80 minutes there.
Ask you, do you think you got enough penalties just from scrums?
Well, I mean, scrums, breakdowns, hard tackles, and I must say, compliment Ruan Nokia as an inexperienced captain, because it's difficult for him. I mean, we've often spoken about what it's like when you're a young captain and you're competing against guys that are seasoned internationals. It's a human thing. It's a human thing for a referee to be, maybe have an ear open to guys who've been there, done it, played a lot of times. I mean, I saw what that did when we had Dwayne Vermeulen as a captain for the Bulls. It's an incredible advantage, because when they do talk or when they ask questions, it's almost like you get some more reaction. So I mean, I just think I was a bit frustrated, because I mean, scrum time, we getting tight heads and no scrum penalties, and the first 25 minutes there were 2 penalties. One was we gave a penalty away right when they kicked the 3 and missed it. It was the first penalty, and it was in the 22nd minute. I mean, I was amazed that there was so much rugby in 22 minutes, and there was nothing that was illegal both ways. So, but again, one of the things you have to do in this competition, you've got to adapt to the referee, and we've grown in that. I think that 2-3 years ago, when we started this campaign, we probably would have panicked. We probably would have, like young, immature guys, probably started to think, well, what's going on? We're not going to win this game. So there's a lot of growth that's happened in our team, and that's pleasing for me. I mean, I sort of thought, what am I going to tell you when I get here? I mean, it's amazing. We on their trial line, something happens. The next thing, they in our half, they get a charge down, 22 dropout. I mean, that's something that you see in under 14B. Altitude, you can kick the ball 65 meters and they charge it down. And then they go and score. Because, I mean, from there, they go and score 7 points. So, but that, I sort of then wanted to say, when I came to the press conference, say to you, geez, what's the chances of Devin Williams dropping that cross kick? What are the chances? I mean, he catches that, he scores under the poles. But that's what happens in big games with pressure. That's what happens when you haven't. I saw a stat, they've got 2,000 and something caps. The average is 113 per player. And their bench has got over 1,100 caps on their bench. I mean, I don't think, I remember coaching the Springboks, we had 650 test caps as a test team, and that was considered a hell of a high in 2007. I mean, now test teams have 1,000 test caps. Their bench has got over 1,000 caps for Leinster. So, I just thought we looked like we showed naivety and showed inexperience in times, but we got away with it today. So that's what I'm really happy about.
Like normally, let's say there's 3 things in playoff games: keep to the basics, do it good, then use your opportunities. And then
Yeah.
Both those you did. And then the one I want to ask you about is defense.
Yeah.
In playoff games, tight defense, and you did brilliant today.
Yeah.
Did you work on defense or specifically?
Well, the challenge I had with the team now, Chris, quite interesting. I said, why don't we defend like that every week? I can't understand why we looked like they were never going to score against us, to be fair. Even that time we defended for 20 phases, and then Nazam got the ball and kicked the ball down the field. And it made me think about John Smith. He always said there's no such thing as a bad kick, just a bad chase. So thank God we kicked and we chased them down and caught them in their 22 as well. So to answer your question, I mean, it's a challenge. It's a challenge and a benchmark that I'm really chuffed to push them now every single weekend. I want to know why we don't get up for those games or get up for every game or defend our try line like we did there. Because, I mean, I said it last week to everybody, Leinster is a hell of a team, boys. I mean, Leinster is not an average rugby team. And to beat them twice in 3 years, it means that we're growing as a group. And the things that we're getting better at are exactly that: doing your basics, defending well, doing your set piece. So, I'm just excited about the fact that when we add to that, we keep building on those building blocks. Imagine when we have 1,000 Bulls games on our bench. I mean, it's going to be a nice time to be involved with the club.
Coach, you mentioned the 2,600 test caps on the Leinster side.
Yeah, 2,600
I think that was
Leinster caps, yeah.
Yeah, Leinster.
Yeah.
And you have a youngster like Cameron Hanakon put in a game like
Unbelievable.
a seasoned veteran.
Unbelievable.
How much belief were you able to conjure up in the side this week?
Well, I gave him a team talk the whole week, I just said to him, this is it. This is when you want to get measured against the best players in the world. And Josh van der Vliet just said to me, I said, geez, what a guy, Try to get into him. We try to put him on the deck. We try to, not nastily, try to make sure. I mean, he's a youngster. They just said he kept coming back at them. Every time they looked, he got up and he came back. So, yeah, I suppose he'll get better. He's 21. I mean, imagine he's keeping Marcel Coetzee out of the team. But, he showed today that he can play at this level. And it's probably the best he's played for us since he's come in. He's had moments where he's been really good, but I think today, the 80 minutes, I don't know, was he man of the match, I think. He showed today that he can play at this level, which is fantastic for us.
Just a follow-up, last week you mentioned that 52,000 people, not quite the 52,000, but everyone comes to watch their team on that one occasion where they do the unthinkable. Do you feel that your team did the unthinkable today?
Yeah, they did. I mean, they weren't supposed to win. Let's be fair, guys. But I said as well during the week, that's why people follow sporting teams. People remember when Tiger came back, they said Tiger will never win a major. And they went crazy when he won another major. People will say, I was there that year when he won the major. And that's, well, again, I suppose the thing about sport is people want to see occasions that aren't supposed to happen. And today wasn't supposed to happen. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that we could beat Leinster. And this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. I don't think anyone that was watching that game or, that was reporting on that game pre this game would have thought that the Bulls could win this game. And think about it. That's what people will talk about. I was there at Loftus when the Bulls actually beat Leinster at Loftus. And those are, I suppose, the things you coach for is for those memories. And obviously to win trophies. So it means nothing just to win that and then, drop the baton in the last hurdle.
Jake, you said yesterday, day before yesterday, that Marcel said,
Yes.
I don't want to play. Are you going to tell him that he can't play?
Yeah, he just said to me he wants to play next week. So, but you call it's interesting. I just said to him now, you're going to be ready next week, and I didn't mean it like that, as in, are you going to be ready? And he said, what do you want to change if it's working like that? So again, it says a lot. It says a lot for a guy like him, But I'll make that call. I mean, I think with Willie maybe not there, and we've got to rejuggle a couple of things. And Munster are a different team to Leinster. I mean, they are a completely different team to Leinster. The way Munster play, the way Leinster play are different challenges. And, I'll obviously, and again, I'm assuming Munster's going to win, guys. Might be Glasgow. But if it's Munster, then we're just going to have to box clever about what we think we need to do. We lost to them here with a red card, and I generally believe if we had 15 men on the field, we could have won that game. So, I'll have a look tonight and see how the game goes, and then I'll tell you about how many flights we have to take to Munster.
But it seems that your forwards are almost at full strength and the backs are struggling with a lot of injured and everything.
Yeah.
Will we see the Bulls returning to the Bulls strength with their forwards?
Carl, if I told you how many tries did we score tonight? 3, I think. We dropped 1 on the try line with thing. Why would we go away from? We scored nearly 4 tries. We got another one where it was disallowed because Marco. There would have been 5 tries. I'm not going to go away from what's worked for us. I might look at tactically looking at a couple of things. I think today, if I can ask you guys, what do you think tactically was the biggest change to our game the last 6 weeks? And the length of the kick. And the length. We kicked the ball into their half. The whole year we've been kicking contestables and we've been trying to win the contestables back. Today when we kicked the ball deep into their 22, it's altitude. We had to test them to see how brave they were to come out of their half. They had to kick, we kicked it back to them. And that tactic worked because it's altitude and all of a sudden their legs were dead. Where Gibson Park left the field at 60 minutes. I can't remember for a long time when he left the field at 60 minutes. And that wasn't because of any other reason, because they were knackered. So tactically we got it spot on today. We got it spot on what we needed to get out of a game at altitude, the way we moved them around. So next week I'll have a look tonight, tomorrow, spend some time at home, look at Munster again, look what worked, what didn't work, have a look at what they've done in their game, and then we'll pick a team that I think will be able to do the thing that we need to do to get a win.
Sorry, up in the media room, you weren't very popular with the number of kicks, and we got to hear knowledge that you know more about that.
Yeah. Well, there's a perception that if you kick the ball a lot, you're not playing rugby, and that's not true. Some of the best teams in the world kick the ball the most, but they get the ball back. And if you think how many lineouts we got today because we kicked the ball there, Leinster don't generally give you lineouts. So, that also changes because then you can get a lineout, which means you can maul, which means you can attack from that lineout. 4 or 5 times in a row, we never mauled. We just played straight away from the line-out straight to Cameron Undercombe, and I don't think they expected that either, because generally what we've done as a Bulls team is we mauled everything and try to go directly through the maul. So tactically, again, I'll say from a coaching point of view and a collective group, not me, but as a coaching group, we got it spot on. We asked the right questions, we put them under pressure, we cross-kicked. They're very narrow. That's generally how Ireland and Leinster defend. They defend like the Springboks, very narrow. When you say what does it mean, these are building blocks we've got to put. We've paid our school fees. I kept telling you, we lost in the final, lost to the Stormers in the quarterfinals. We're going to get another crack. It's not going to be easy. We go to Munster. Munster are a hell of a team. They're champions. But we growing. I know we're going to get better. I know you can't put a price to the fact that the experience they get now is going to help them. I sort of look at that and I go, if we play in a Currie Cup now and we play with that team, isn't that tell you something about what our expectation would be as a group in a Currie Cup game with a group like that? And I said to you last week, our progression has been Griquas, Pumas, Cheetahs, Benetton in a Rainbow Cup. That's where we come from in the last 3 years. You play against Leinster, Six Nations, World Cup, European Cup, semi-finals URC. When you put that together and you try and compare where we are as a group, to have that as a boost has got to give you confidence in the next couple of seasons. It's got to. I mean, it's got to resonate with them about what they've achieved in a small space of time.
Maybe you could, maybe you could give us confirmation if the Warriors do win tonight. Will
Yes.
the final be at Loftus?
Yes, it'll be at Loftus. Yeah. Apparently, the inauguration has been moved or whatever, and generally the Loftus is available. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be fantastic. Imagine 52,000 people coming to a final at Loftus. I mean, probably like the good old days, you know. And we haven't lost a playoff game at Loftus since the Brumbies in 2013, so we're in a hell of a place.
And you remember the Brumbies.
Yeah, just sometimes I remember those things.
We'll go yellow, but
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
Coach, I think from my side, how much credit do you give yourself and your coaching team for one, the recruitment, and two, the way that you work within this whole group of players? Because we hear every week saying this Springbok is out, and another Springbok is out, and then you always find a solution, whoever comes in knows the system, doesn't let you down. How much work do you guys put in
Well,
to make sure everyone's
I'd like to tell you, listen, I mean, I sit here and I take all the credit, but I mean, it's a group effort. I've got Edgar Rathbone contracting. We know we want. We know the kind of players we need to get. You know, we don't have strange guys in our squad, and I mean that from a point of view. They're good guys. They're solid kids. So there's an ethos about what we try and recruit at the club. The coaches, obviously, as I said to you, the game plan has been spot on. I mean, today we got it right. We played a way in which Leinster never expected us to play. And that's what you need to do when you get to these games, because all the analysis that goes into games, if you just try and do the same things, you end up running into a wall. So it's not me saying, the board, the CEO, the coaches, we all understand what kind of player we want, who we want to try and get to the club. And the last thing, I suppose, which has really worked in our favour, and I remember sitting in front of all of you in the beginning of the year, I said, I made a mistake last year because I picked the same players every time, and I thought they're the only ones that can get a job done. This year we've changed it. We brought in Cameron, we brought in Devon, we brought in Cornel Smith today. I go through example that sticks out with me. Is there any other fly half that plays in the URC that's number 2 in his club that's played 50 games? I can't think of one. So when you get a guy like Chris Smith who's played over 50 URC games and he's supposedly your second choice guy, well then you're doing it right. Because generally what I would have done 2-3 years ago is would have kept the fly half there for every single game for 80 minutes. And talking about that, guys, I must say to you, I cannot believe, Goosen was outstanding today. I showed him a video of Paul Roos playing against Gray Bloom in his matric year. I think he scored 36 points out of 41. So, that just shows, again, I showed it to him. I'll probably show it to him next week again.
And I think lastly from my side, Coach, 2 years ago you were in the final after beating Leinster. Everybody said that sways the final in your favour. Again, you're beating Leinster in the semi-final to get to the final. What lessons have you taken from the 2022 experience? Yeah,
the one I've learned is we're playing away. That's the one I've learned. And I'm saying it that if we have to play Munster away, we're the one team that's when I say South African team, that's the one team that's had to play away. And Munster proved last year that you can win away. So I suppose what I'm really going to harp on with my players is that we've had a chance of winning away and we didn't get it right. Now we get another chance to play away. But 3 flights, Munster, 5 Dubai, Doha. Anyway, we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out. The interesting thing is, I just chatted to Leinster. They're going home tomorrow. I would have liked to be on their plane and kept them here for a couple of days.
Jake, you mentioned about Sergio Peters being the only one who's won a URC. We were speculating before we started whether Cornel Smith was part of the Storm squad that won that one as well. Does he have any experience? Does he count towards that?
I don't know if he ever played in the, I'm not sure. I sound sort of, I'm not sure he was involved in any of those big playoff games. He might have been in the squad. But Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure he would have felt what it was like to win. So I mean, I'll ask him. I'll ask him about what he thinks is the thing we need. But one thing about rugby is you need a lotto ticket to win the lotto. And at this stage, we're the one team who's got a lotto ticket, and there's other two trying to find a lotto ticket. So that's one thing that you win. As long as you got a lotto ticket, you got a chance to win. The story about the guy who says, "Please God, let me win the lotto," and God says, "Can you meet me halfway and buy a ticket?"
And on that, what did you think of his game, Cornell Smith's game? I mean, walking into the Bulls team,
Yeah,
semi-final,
shame.
expectations.
I mean, think about this. I mean, I said to him before the game, you get picked in your very first game in a semi-final against an Irish backline. I mean, you get Henshaw and Ringrose and James Lowe and O'Brien and Lamour, and it's your first game. So, I mean, can it get any bigger club level than to play in a game like that? Probably not. And then he goes to wing. Then he's a centre, and I'm saying he's a centre, and he goes to wing. But he must be loving life.
Yeah.
Talking about he's probably going to buy a lotto ticket tomorrow as well.
Yes, Jake, I want to ask you about defense, but first I want to ask, do you think you surprised Leinster with your kicking game tonight? As you said, Hussein and Vili were unbelievable. The performance was sublime. The ball went where it needed to go, went as deep, and you really gained a lot from the game. Do you think that surprised Leinster?
I did. I think if Jacques did his homework, which I'm sure he did, they would have wanted to play contestables. They beat us in Dublin, and basically, one of the things, and again, you guys go look at that game. We kicked an up and under. One of the players caught it from an up and under. He offloaded again, and I think there was a line break, and Josh van der Vlier scored under the poles. So we just decided today what we're going to do is we're not going to give them, because almost that play is like a line out. It's like a line out attack for them. They catch it, move it, and before you know it, it's already on the other side of the field. So I think they were surprised because we didn't give them that, and I want to say that set piece, because theoretically that catch from that kick is almost like a starter play from a set piece. And we got it wrong sometimes. I mean, a charge down and Vili once or twice, they had to dummy and get out because the pressure was on them. But I think there's no doubt that we surprised them by not giving them the ball they actually wanted to attack from.
And are you going to sit down with Gary this week and ask him, what the heck, how do we do this? Because you had a defense that was disciplined and it held its own over 20 phases there late in the game, and that really probably is when the game was secured, at least at that point.
Yeah.
How are they going to get it right? Did Gary seem to, what do you do this week, and what do you do next week?
I don't want to take anything away from Gary. Obviously, he's worked a hell of a hard on getting it. I think the one thing that's significantly different is that our players looked in their eyes today when we warmed up that they were going to defend. And one thing about a South African player, when he decides he's going to defend, it becomes very difficult to beat them. I mean, I always say Kakamas large school playing against Pofada. They might not score many tries, but they tackle the hell out of each other. And today it looked like that. It looked like everyone was never going to let you get through. And that's also credit to the fact that Leinster, I mean, they can attack. We knew that. We knew. I mean, the one play that I'm not saying disappointed, but really caught me is when they did that one line-out play and they ended up, it was almost too easy for them to get down the edge there. But to allow them to make one line break like that from a set piece is actually it's a good afternoon, because they've been doing that to international sides week in and week out, and I'm talking about as in for Ireland and as in for Leinster.
Jake, you spoke earlier about the ref and the penalties. I checked there was.
No, I didn't speak about the ref. You asked me about the ref. I want to make sure tomorrow I don't get a letter from you or see.
I went and checked. Leinster gave away a whole 4 penalties in the game, which is absolutely unbelievable for any team.
Yeah.
And things obviously went wrong on the field, and your players at times got frustrated. But
yes.
I suppose the good thing is to know that despite that, in terms of a final, when things don't go your way, they buckle down and they got the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, Brent, I mean, I didn't know it was 4, but it's incredible for the amount of rugby that was played, because that game wasn't stop-start. it's incredible that there's 4 penalties for infringements at every aspect of the game, whether it's scrum, whether it's breakdown, whether it's line out, whether it's, I mean, it's actually incredible. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but when Benetton played a couple of weeks ago, they gave 2 penalties away against the Sharks. I mean, that's unheard of. 4 penalties and 2 penalties. And all I'm saying is, it just means that there's an interpretation, or there's a picture that isn't going to be penalised. And I say it to you again. That's what I'm really proud about, because whatever that picture was, we bought into it. We didn't panic. We made sure we could replicate those pictures. And we got a captain that kept the guys calm, because as an immature team, and we are still very young and immature, we could quite easily have said, listen, this is not going to work. This guy is not helping us, or whatever, you know. And that's why I said I'm not attacking the referee. It could quite easily have been when they grabbed Goosen by his collar, that could have been a yellow card 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And I'm just using an example. But yeah, so it's you're right. 4 penalties is. But I think the way, and you answered it for me, the way we adapted, the way we then replicated those pictures, the way that we accepted that's what's going to happen in that scenario, was the thing that we've probably matured the most since I've been here.
Also, the year's got an unfortunate record now, but 3 Champions Cup finals, 3 URC semi-finals, missing out, losing those games. Those players, a lot of them haven't played at Loftus. You've been in the game a long time. Irish media are really talking about mental scars about these things. Do you think that plays any role in 2 weeks' time?
Well, look, people said a lot about the All Blacks having mental scars, and they won 2 World Cups in a row. And I think they were the number 1 team in the world for about 3 years. So, yeah, I mean, it's not for me. I mean, I'm not thank God I'm not involved in that. I'm not involved in Test rugby anymore. This is as close as it gets. I must say, I felt today like I was a Springbok coach. Felt like those days when I used to stand in a blazer and a tie and look around the field. But I'll tell you one thing I do know is there's going to be 52,000 people here, and it's going to be an incredible test match, because now it'll be after this performance. I mean, our public will be standing queues outside to make sure that they can be part of that.
Just a couple of questions. The first one, when Cornell came on and went to wing, what was the thinking? Most people would have thought David would have gone there and then he would have shifted into.
I just thought David again's outstanding, guys. I mean, I just think David. I mean, you see what happens, little things that happen. Where he stands in the kickoff, where they kicked off to. As soon as that happens, then you move him to the wing and you take away something you've practiced. I think him and Harold are working really well together defensively. And I would rather have made one change. In other words, wing for wing. And I know it wasn't wing for wing because Devon had to go to fullback. But I would have rather made one like that than make... Because I could have put Goosen and put Chris on and put Goosen somewhere as well. But then what happens, the domino effect, is that everyone has to shift to a different position. And I felt at that time of the game we were almost comfortable enough with the communication and cohesion inside not to make too many changes.
And then, I think you were asked this week about where, if you won this game, it would sort of rank as in the 2022 game. Obviously, it hadn't happened at the time. Now that it's happened,
Sam, this is one of the biggest wins I've ever had as a coach. And I say that, I was lucky enough at the Brumbies to beat the British and Irish Lions. I was lucky at the Bulls to beat South African A in Cape Town. But I would say, man for man, and the pressure that comes with a game like this, and especially because Ireland are coming here in 3 weeks' time, those are probably the added bonus that I feel that this would rank as one of the best club results I've had. And I say that because, I mean, the Brumbies must come close. You beat a British and Irish team with a Brumby team without Wallabies, because all the Wallabies were away on camp. But in the modern game, and I'm talking the modern now, with the way professionalism and the way that the game's gone and what Ireland have achieved, this Irish team's beaten the All Blacks and the Springboks. So for a club team, and I say club team because they, no Kanan, no Kirtley, no Marcel Coetzee, who's a Springbok. It must rank for me, and I mean maybe it's just, but must rank there as one of the best wins we've ever had.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, eh? Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.